So guys, just shot a video, cleaned up a little bit, decided I'm not sharpening anything else today. I have 3 more knives and 2 straight razors that I'm going to do tomorrow morning, but I also have got adult things to do. I've got laundry and things like that. Wife's gone. I gotta do all this stuff. But I have a stack of knives here, and we're going to talk about sharpening notches, sharpening choils, and finger choils. And they're all kind of variations on the same thing. So sharpening notches are a lot of times just a small notch, and I had this knife out for my last video. This right there is a sharpening notch. It's just simply that. It's a small notch. You can see it. Small little round one cut right at the ricasso to allow you to sharpen. The purpose for that, so that you guys, this is because I know that there's some guys out there, I just talked to a couple of them that are brand new customers, like clients as I like to call them, that have just started watching the channel and they've just gotten into knives. And so the purpose of having, let me adjust this so when I lean on this and lean in, we're not cutting me off. Got the brand new hat, got to make it look pretty. So the purpose of that is to allow you to get your stones all the way back to the origin of the bevel, which is the origin of the bevel is, I'll pull this one up, right here. Origin of bevel is where your cutting edge starts. And this is my Sabenza. And so on this knife, that's accomplished by simply just grinding down. Now, you can see right here where all of that, where that thickening starts is well behind where that grind, where the actual beveling starts. So you're not going to have that weird ramping that you get in some knives, which a lot of times winds up being the issue, and then you get that weirdness where you just cannot get that part of the knife sharp. In all honesty though, it doesn't matter, because that's a piece of the blade that you're really not going to use anyway. Most people aren't using that part of the blade. Most people are using that part of the blade, and if you really want to know the truth, this part of the blade is the part that gets used the most. Doing stuff like this. Cutting things like this. Opening boxes, yeah, you're using a good chunk, but you're not getting, because this part of the blade, if you're on a blade, let me see, do I have one that really doesn't have much? I really don't have a knife out, I don't think. This one might. Yeah, so this one doesn't have much. You're not going to use, can you see how the ramping that I was talking about occurs? See how that edge comes and then it ramps up? You're not going to be using that portion of the blade, really, to tell you the truth. And this is just a little friction folder, double-bladed friction folder. So the thought process is, okay, we'll just cut that piece out, and now your stones aren't going to be hitting, because the big thing, too, is if you have expensive stones and you're sharpening a knife like that, you either are, one, you're dragging that corner of the stone and you're trying to get down in there and you're screwing your stone up, or you're going and you're butting up against it and you're chipping your stone. So either you're dragging that against your stone and you're scratching and digging your stone, or you're chipping your stone. And so that allows you to reach every inch of the usable blade. There's a couple ways to do this. So one of the ways is, this one doesn't really have a notch per se. What they did was, they just cut this area down lower. Let me get it up here where you can see it. So you can see, this is my Ontario Rat 1. So they just cut this down and then left the edge proud. And so you can still sharpen the entire thing. Not a bad idea. Spyderco doesn't do that at all. Spyderco just leaves it. Spyderco doesn't put one in. So I can show you, on this one, this is mine. They just bring it all the way back. And then, this one's not sharp all the way back, but all Spydercos just come all the way back, pretty much all Spydercos. Come all the way back, dead end up against the plunge, or the ricasso. I have a way of taking care of that. Most Spydercos that leave my house, 99% of Spydercos that leave my house wind up with one of these. Let's see, can you see it? I put one in. Now let's turn around. Hang on a second, guys. Turn around and look at it. So this is simply just that, a sharpening notch. Now I do my own. I don't use a Dremel. I have some diamond files and some diamond stones that I use simply for this. And they usually come out pretty well, and they allow you to get all the way back and sharpen the entire edge. And they're not ugly. They're aesthetically pleasing. They're like a half teardrop shape. And it allows you to sharpen the entire edge. As you can see, you can get the entire edge and you don't have any spots that are missed. So there's just another way, different means to the same end, different type of sharpening notch. Now, there's the next step, which is something that is more along the lines of this, which I did, which is a sharpening choil. I cut this in on the grinder. This knife had a small choil that just wasn't quite as big as I wanted. This is my Ferrum Forge Intac. I took the blade out of it and I cut in a sharpening choil. Not quite big enough to be a finger choil, as you can see, my finger overlaps it, but enough to allow me to sharpen, because I don't want a full finger choil on this, I'd lose. But I really didn't expand the existing choil very much, but that is what's called a sharpening choil, a little bit larger than a notch. So, you know, there we have sharpening choil, sharpening notch. This crux has, well, actually that'd be a finger choil. Let me see if I have another knife that has a sharpening choil. No, this ZT Sienkiewicz design is a different sharpening notch. It's just a little bit bigger one. But a sharpening choil is just basically a larger, a choil is just almost like a finger notch. But a sharpening notch is not quite as big. A little bit bigger than a notch, but smaller than a finger choil. So the last one that you get is a finger choil. And what a finger choil is, and a lot of the, let's see, do I have any others that have one? Nope, I only brought the one. Most of the Ferrum Forge knives have a full choil, which is just an expansion on the grip. It extends the grip forward. So you can hold the knife traditional, or you can get all the way forward and hold on to it like this, which is nice. It allows you a little bit more control. You can get way forward on it. You can do detail work. If you're back here, that you can do some horsepower cutting, some chopping. Then you can get up here and you get your thumb way forward, and then you can do some detail cutting and detail work with a fairly large knife. So, you know, those are just design things that allow you to, so this still, I mean, this is still allows purpose sharpening, but it's big enough I can get my whole finger, and I've got big fingers, so that's a pretty big honking, you know, hole in that. So, you know, I've had people ask me what the difference between them were, and I've had people ask me how I put in the choil. So now you kind of know how I do it, and here's the tools that I use for. I lost my flat file, so basically when you see this hooked diamond file, I'm only using that flat piece. So I usually, for smaller knives, I'm using the round part of this. For a little bit larger knife, on the Delica I did use this to open a little bit larger round, and then the slope was the flat part of this, and then you just marry the two together, and then you get that little half teardrop shape. So, I mean, it's just, you know, knives are designed with different, I don't know if I would really consider this a finger choil. It's kind of, I think this is just a modified sharpening choil, because it's not real, this one on the crux is not real comfortable for me to get my finger in, because it's kind of, that hook on that is kind of sharp. By the time I get my finger in there, I'm touching up against the sharp edge there. But I did sharpen this. This had a chip in it. I removed the chip in it. So Alex, if you happen to be watching, your crux is done. That's your Sienkiewicz. Will be done tomorrow. I so tired. I just can't do any more knives, I don't think. I might do the Sinkovich tonight, but they just showed up. But yeah, that's basically different designs getting you the same direction. I just wish, there's certain knives I just wish had a better eye for how far out they take their notches. Even React, as much as I like React, Dave's choils happen to sometimes be a little bit on the small side and need to be taken out a little bit further. They're there, but they're just not quite at the end of the ricasso. They're not, the blade starts to thicken before the notch cuts out, you know what I mean? So the notch does not go out past and cover where the thickening. So the thickening is still here, and so you still get that ramped area. I added a more generous sharpening choil, I should say, on my Horizon D in carbon fiber. Not much, just ever so slightly larger, because I don't need a finger choil on it. I just needed a little bit more room for sharpening, so I wasn't smacking up against the stones. And there's some knives that you just can't get a small area that, and is it really affecting? Probably not. It's aesthetics. And a lot of times I'm not sharpening for aesthetics, but there's customers that want that. There are customers like, look, I just want it pretty. And I'm like, hey, it's sharp, it's apex, but there's an area where you can still see the grind. Do you want me to take care of that? And they're like, yeah, I want you to. I'm like, well, you realize I'm taking a lot more material off. I'm taking away from well, I want it to look, this is my showpiece knife. And I'm like, okay. You know, you have those people that they have a knife that basically, like, not to call him out by name, I got one customer I talked to the other day. He's got a really expensive knife. He plays with it, and he puts it back on his desk, and that's where it stays. It's a really expensive knife. I can't fault him. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. But I mean, mainly because I'm not that guy. I don't see that. You know, I carry a $1,000 knife, and I work with it. I do whatever I need to do with it. I would never shy away from grabbing it to cut a bunch of stuff. And I've heard people like, I wouldn't send that guy my knives. You said he used a $1,000 knife to do whatever. And I'm like, well, it's a tool. It's a tool to be used, you know? Who better to send your knives to than a guy that knows how to resharpen a $1,000 knife? So it's just, I don't always understand the knife community sometimes. I'm going to buy this tool, and I'm not going to use it. I mean, like my dad was a diesel mechanic, and he had a lot of very expensive tools, but none of them ever just got put on a shelf and wiped with a diaper. You know what I mean? So before my dad was a cop, that's the way it was. And he had guns that were expensive guns, but they didn't get put on a shelf and wiped with a diaper. They got shot. So I think that's where that mentality comes from. So, all right, guys, second video of the day. I've got to get some editing done, and my daughter just texted me. They are at the hotel in a city called Beppu, where there's a lot of hot springs. So I am going to see if I can't FaceTime with my daughter. So you guys take it easy. And once again today, take care of yourselves, be cool to each other, and I'll see you next time. Later.